Namaste, Bula and Sasirklal to you all. My name is Shivnesh Chan and I live in Udi Road, Nosodi. Today I will be presenting to you about human development. I will be discussing the major theories, the three major Western theories of development, and I will also relate it to my own context. Okay, so I will be talking about the philosophies of human development in socio-cultural context. So my presentation is basically entirely based upon creative visuals. It mainly consists of pictures and images. So I'm sharing to you my slides now. This is my slide 1. Okay, so my slide 1 basically gives you the idea of what my presentation will be about. So it is about human development in socio-cultural context. I will be discussing about the theories of development, the child attachment styles, cognitive development. I will be also discussing about the stages of our lives and so on. To begin with, now let's talk about the Western theories of human development. Firstly, I will discuss about Vygotsky's theory of social development, followed by Erikson's psychological theory, and lastly, I will be discussing about Piaget's theory of cognitive development. So, according to Lev Vygotsky, development happens over time, and the lifespan of people can be divided into different stages. As you can see in this presentation, you can see that interaction. It is that interaction is a key factor that makes learning possible, and it is indeed true, because if we support each other, if we ask questions to our peers, and what actually happens is that we share our ideas, and sharing of ideas leads to gaining of knowledge. Okay, so according to Vygotsky, the development of wisdom in a child comes through experiences where they actively learn through their parents, the family, through their peers, and through cultural beliefs. Therefore, these factors are very important as they play a very vital role in socio-cultural development. Source Elkine 2004. Therefore, Vygotsky's theory is indeed relatable to my society, as interaction plays a very important part in learning, where individuals they get influenced by those around them and the cultural values that surround them. Okay, moreover, now let's discuss about Erikson's theory of psychosocial development. Erik Erikson concentrated on the child's theory of development when the child is conscious, unlike Freud's theory, which basically consisted of the sexual aspects. Erikson's theory is based on the environmental and social factors, where the entire lifespan of a child is of an individual is divided in a range from infancy to adulthood, and there are 8 stages in Erikson's theory, and each stage is marked by internal crisis. These crises have both a positive and a negative effect, but if an individual maintains the balance between these two sides, between the negative and positive side, then the outcome will be a healthy individual. Okay, now let's look at my slide. I'll be sharing you my slide to discuss about the 8 stages given by Erikson. Let's look at it. Okay, so in these images, what you can see that they are 8 stages. Our lifespan is divided into 8 stages according to Erickson. Let's discuss about the first stage, which is trust versus mistrust. Trust versus mistrust is occurs during our birth, infancy. Starts from infancy over here. You can see it from here. So this stage occurs during infancy, where infants are between the ages of 0 and 1.5 years old. So in this stage, what happens that the infant, they cannot survive without any help, because they are very small. They can't do anything by themselves. So therefore they depend on their parents, their caregivers, and in this process they eventually develop a virtue, and that virtue developed is called hope, where they always have a hope from their caregivers. They always have a hope for their parents. So in this stage, the infant, they need proper feeding, warmth and love from their caregivers. And if the infant is well handled and nurtured, then the infant gets a feeling of security, trust. But sometimes the opposite happens. When the baby faces abandonment, then she will develop mistrust. The source is Cherry 2016. Okay, now let us look at the second stage of human development according to Erickson. The second stage is autonomy versus shame and doubt. This stage occurs during early childhood. Okay, so this also known as toddlerhood. This stage occurs when the child is the age of a child is between 1.5 and 3 years old. So at this stage, the child is given little independence and is allowed to make little choices. So they can choose their food. They should be allowed to choose their clothing, and the caregiver or the parents, they need to encourage the child and also protect them at the same time. And if the child is successful in completing this stage, then she will develop a sense of autonomy. That means self pride. But if a child fails, then he or she will develop shame and doubt. The source I used is Cherry 2016. Now let us discuss the third stage, which is initiative versus guilt. These stages is over here. I am highlighting with my clicker. It occurs during preschool ages, when we are in our preschool. Okay, initiative versus guilt. So what happens is this stage, like we are in the age between the age 3 and 5 years. So over here the child tries to explore their surrounding. This is like a play. In kindergarten, in preschool, the child, they always play. They play with mud. They always go around. They play with plasticines. So this is the play where the child, they try to explore their surrounding, and their initiative shall be given encouragement, so that they can make wise decision and without any fear, and they can be a good leader. But if the child is not supported in this stage, then they will create a guilt in themselves. So they will always remain a follower. They will never try to become a leader. So the child will start fearing before they could actually do something themselves. Hence will be a poor decision maker. The source I have used is Cherry 2016. Okay, now let us look at the next stage, which is industry versus inferiority. Over here, as you can see, it is our school age. Okay, by this time we are in our primary school. So in this stage we are about the age of 5 and 12 years old. So during this stage, what happens is the child, they often spend most of their time in the school with the teachers. Therefore the teachers, like us, we are the future teachers. So we should know that the teachers play a very major role in the students' life, as they teach them how to be competent, by giving certain tasks like class activities and homework. So the child, they will compete with each other, and they will always try to finish their homework on time. So the child feels independent and have a sense and a feeling of pride after completing the tasks like homework all by themselves. But at the same time, if the child is doubted or if the answer they give is wrong, then he or she will start to feel inferior. That means they will never be able to make wise choices. Okay, now let us look at the next stage, which is identity versus role confusion. Over here, this stage is also known as identity crisis. Adolescence. This is adolescence stage. At this stage, the adolescence, we are about between 12 and 18 years old, and during this stage, what happens is that the child, they learn through social interaction, they make new friends, and in this process, they ask questions to themselves on what they want to become in life. Even I at this age, when I was like 12, between 12 and 18, I was also in identity crisis. I was also thinking of what to become, but eventually I found out that I am meant to be a teacher. So if the child learns self concept through social interaction, then she will develop a virtue which is called fidelity, but failure will result in role confusion. Now let us look at the next stage. The next stage is very interesting. It is intimacy versus isolation. Over here, okay, intimacy versus isolation. It is young adulthood. We are in the age of between 18 and 40 years old. So individuals, they try to develop intimate relationships, and those who are successful at this stage will experience love. So intimacy, and further on, good marriage which will last longer. Source Cherry 2016. So at this stage, the external appearance is very important for a young individual, especially to achieve an innate intimate relationship, and those who fail to find the true love will remain in isolation. Now let us look at the second last stage, which is generativity versus stagnation. This stage occurs during middle adulthood, when we are like in the middle of our adulthood. Okay, so at this stage we are between 40 and 65 years old. So people at this stage establish their career. Most of us will be already well established by this, and we will have a family. We will become parents. So they are fully committed to their family by earning to fulfill their needs of their members of their family. Hence, a virtue that gets developed at this stage is called care. The care for family, the care for the loved ones. And those who fail to establish their own family and career will feel, the otherwise, the opposite of generativity. They will feel stagnant and unproductive towards their society. The source I used is Cherry 2016. Now let's discuss the last stage of Erickson, which is integrity versus despair. So at this stage, what happens that we are 65 plus years. So we will reflect back on our accomplishments and the experience that we have gained in the past 7 stages of our life. And in this stage, we develop a virtue, and the name of that virtue is called wisdom. If an individual is not satisfied, then their reflection to life will be the opposite of integrity, which is despair, till they die sadly. Okay. Furthermore, now let's look at Piaget's theory of cognitive development. So Jean Piaget was born in 1896 and was a Swiss psychologist. Cognitive development depends on the mental skills. Piaget is a constructivist. He believed that a child can construct her knowledge through doing activities, and that the children are little scientists. According to Piaget, there are 4 stages of cognitive development. Now I will be sharing my slide to show you the 4 stages. Okay, here. So according to Piaget, there are 4 stages. So the stage 1 is sensory motor stage. Over here, sensory motor stage, when this is the infancy stage where we are between 0 to 2 years old. So the infants use their sense of, the five senses. They use their sense of feel, see, taste and hearing to explore their surroundings. The child performs reflex activities during this stage, like flipping their eyelids, pulling their hands away when it gets into contact with hot surfaces. Source Erickson 1997. The quality of object permanence developed at the very end of the sensory motor stage, where the child is able to remember objects even if they are out of sight. The next stage, the second stage in Piaget's theory is pre-operational stage. So in the pre-operational stage, we are like 2 to 7 years old. So during this stage, the toddler gets intuitive reasoning without any logical sense. The child is not able to do reversible thinking. Like for example, we know that 5 times 2 is 10, but children during pre-operational stage, they will not be able to do reverse operation. That means they will not be able to figure out that even 2 times 5 is 10, not only 5 times 2. So children at this stage are mostly egocentric. They are self-centered. So they are not able to understand the perspective of other people, and they will believe that everyone thinks the same as they do. Source Erickson 1997. Now let us look at the third stage of Piaget's theory, which is concrete operational stage. This stage occurs during 7 to 11 years of age, and at this stage the child is mostly able to operate. That's why it's concrete operational stage. So they are able to operate and give logical reasoning on concrete things, but they still did not develop the thinking on abstract things. Abstract things are the things that we can't see or touch. So reversible thought develops at this stage, where the child knows that 2 times 5 is same as 5 times 2. Jean Piaget found out that the children that fall in this stage no longer gets confused between quantity and the dimension. Source Erickson 1997. They know that even if shape and size of something is altered, the quantity remains same. For example, like if water from a short white glass is poured into a taller glass, then the child understands that the amount of water that was present in both the glasses are still the same. Let us look at the last stage, the fourth stage of Piaget, which is formal operational stage over here. So in this stage we are like 12 plus years old. So this stage occurs during adolescence age. We are at the highest level of cognitive development, where the child develops logical and deductive reasoning. They are able to carry operations which is present in their mind and ideas. Source Erickson 1997. Hypothetical reasoning develops in the adults, where they can reverse their thought and give complex logical reasoning based on their experiences. Okay, to add on, now I will be discussing on human development in my own context. Parents are the first teachers in a child's life, as they play a very important role to incorporate good values, knowledge into the child, and teach them how to differentiate between good and bad things that they encounter in their life. Okay, let me share my slide to you. So the figure on the left shows how children are encouraged to interact and learn bhajan. In my Hindu religion, bhajan is a way to develop spirituality and make communication with God. So the adults, they pass their knowledge to the younger generation by teaching them the correct way to play instruments like tabla, dholak, and how to make a good coordination while singing the bhajan and playing the harmonium at the same time. Therefore, bhajan is a way of social interaction where everyone gets together and share their knowledge and skills. So, similarly, Fijians in my community go to churches on Sundays for Bible session, where the young children are also taken to the church so that they learn good values and become better human being. As shown in the figure on the right, you can see that the Fijians are singing chorus in their church, where the there is a nice thing that even the adults and the young ones they sing together. So both younger and older generation can participate, and in this way, the culture remains alive as it gets passed on from one generation to another. Therefore, social interaction and education they both play a very important part in a child's life as they incorporate them with good knowledge and good values. Okay, finally, now I will be using John Locke's perspective of human understanding to discuss the modern perspective of human development. So, Locke believed that when a child is born, he or she has no idea or knowledge in their mind. Therefore, the mind is like similar to a blank page. Source White 1972. The blank page gets filled over time through experiences, and these experiences are gained when an individual struggles and faces new challenges in life, and as a result, experience creates wisdom which leads to strong personality development. As you can see in this slide over here, wait, here, mind of newborn is similar to a book of empty pages, and parents are the first writers of this book. Another very important concept of human development mentioned by John Locke is that development of a child depends on external factors like the environment and the type of people they live with. Source White 1972. For example, if a child lives in a family where her parents quarrel on each other as part of their daily routine, then the child will show immoral behavior in future. But if the parents incorporate the child with good values and manners, then the child will grow up as a well-mannered and disciplined individual. As you can see, the over here in the left, the parents are quarreling. So the development of a child will not be good. Over here, the parents are incorporating good knowledge and good values. So the development of the child will be good. He will become a good personality in the future. Okay. Okay, now comes the final part. I will give a conclusion. So to conclude, this module on human development is very important, as it helps us understand more about ourselves and also about the children, because we are future teachers, and future teachers like us needs to know about the various stages of human development in a child, so that we can understand what the challenges the students are going through in their life. A good teacher is not only the one who has better grades and diploma, but is the one that can understand their student and recognize their capabilities. Human development teaches us that we will face various problems in our lives, but these problems are actually making us strong and wiser than we were ever before. As you can see in my last slide, okay, second last slide, that importance of this model. Good teacher understands their children, and struggles makes you stronger. These were the references that I have used, and finally I am ending my presentation, and I hope that you guys have learned something.